Hey guys, I'm Becky from Bookbite Reviews, and welcome to my Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets reading vlog. If you did not see my last video where I did my reading vlog for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I will link that below in the description, as well as my schedule for how I'm going to read all the rest of the books in the series. Now, I did start reading this the other day at work a little bit, so I think I'm technically on chapter 3, so we just got to the Weasley's house for the first time, but I think I am going to reread a little bit just because I was a little distracted at work when I started it. First though, before I dive into this one, I do have one book to quickly finish, and so I'm going to finish up that. That should only take me an hour or two, and then we will get started with this. But since I have this great light right now, I decided to go ahead and film this intro, and then we will go ahead and get started. So far, what I have read of this one, it is slightly different from the movie. We have met Dobby, and the way that things take place through that is slightly different than how the movie version of that scene went. And I am both reading it physically and listening to the audio by Jim Dale. And where I loved Jim Dale in the first one, when I read Sorcerer's Stone, for Chamber of Secrets, the movie had not come out yet. So his voice for Dobby is very different than the Dobby I know. So it was a little, that's not Dobby I know. So it should be fine. But yeah, that is what I have noticed right now. And since I just got to the Weasley's house, Mrs. Weasley has told the boys to go and get rid of the garden gnomes, and that was not in the movie at all. I really wish that that was in the movie because I want to know what these guys look like, but there's nothing we can do now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this last book really quick, and then we will start on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Hey guys, I am back. I finished my last book, and wow. So it was the third book, final book in a series. So when I got done with it, I needed to take a little bit of a reading break before diving into Harry Potter, just to collect my thoughts. And yes, so I will be doing a review video on the entire series probably later this month. So yes, now let's go ahead and get started on reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I don't have that long before we are going to leave and go to dinner, but I did want to start on it just a little bit before we do. I'm in this nice cozy reading nook I have made in my office, and I have a reading buddy. Let's see if I can show you him. Pepe has decided to be my little reading buddy. I'm going to go ahead and get some reading in before I leave. So I am on chapter 5, page 65, and we have just left Diagon Alley, and for the most part it is like how it plays out in the movie, but Mr. Weasley and Mr. Malfoy, I always say Floy, Mr. Malfoy get into a physical fight, and I wish that that's how it was in the movie. I get why they changed it, but that would be a lot cooler to watch. When Harry is in Nocturne Alley, what happens with Malfoy in the shop, I don't think is what happens in the movies. I don't remember Malfoy being concerned about the Ministry doing a raid on his house, and so he's selling things that would give them the wrong impression, which I think is stuff that would be dark magic of things he used when he was on Voldemort's army. So yeah, I don't recall that happening in the movie, but I'm very excited to keep going. I'm very excited to see how different these books are from the movies, because these books only get longer and longer. I recently looked up how many pages all these are, and these are some of the longest books I've ever read. Thankfully, this one is still within the realm of what I have read before, so that's good. But once we get to Goblet of Fire, they are the longest books I've ever read in my whole life, so I'm a little concerned about that, but still very, very excited. So I will see you guys when I get back from dinner. But also look at this little cute snuggle buddy. He has been laying with me since I started reading. How can I leave him and go to dinner? Hey guys, so I'm back from dinner, and while we were out, we decided to stop at Target, and I got my favorite gummies by Black Forest, which is the Valentine's Day ones. These are my favorite because Black Forest is, for one, my favorite type of gummy, but the Valentine's Day ones has a watermelon flavor. It's the only time they have it. It's so, so good. It's like a watermelon Jolly Rancher flavor. Ugh, I love it. So I picked up 2 bags of these because it's the only time I can get them. So I think now I am going to read Harry Potter, but I kind of want to play Yonder on my Nintendo Switch. It's a really fun freestyle type of game. It's an open world. It's kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but like there's no bad guys. So there's not like a whole lot of fighting. It's more of like wandering around, doing side quests, things like that, which is my favorite type of game to play. So I think I want to play that. So I will listen to the Harry Potter audiobook while I play that, and I think I'm going to do that downstairs, so that's where we will move this reading party to. Hey guys, it is day 2 of this Harry Potter reading vlog, and last night I did quite a bit of reading. I am now over halfway through the book, so I am now on chapter 13 and at 232. So that is where I am. I'm doing very, very good with this. I listened to the audiobook last night for the most part, and I'm really, really enjoying this book. I do want to kind of go back a little bit and reread, I think probably just like the last chapter, just because I feel like I didn't like fully understand, or not understand, but like soak it in. So I am going to go ahead and probably reread that one and then finish up the book hopefully today. So I'm now at the part where Harry Potter has found Tom Riddle's diary, and he has just communicated with him through the diary with writing and sees his memory of who the last person who opened the Chamber of Secrets was. It is a little bit different than how it played out in the movie, so I do want to go ahead and just reread that last chapter just so I fully understand exactly what went on, supposedly, in the book version. I did also find quite a few differences from the movies in this one. They haven't been, like, life-altering yet, but they're definitely interesting where I'm like, I don't recall that happening. Like, for one, when we finally meet Mr. Weasley, he is said to be almost balding, and he definitely had, like, a full head of hair in the movie, so that was pretty interesting, because I was like, the few hairs he had left were red. I'm pretty sure he had all his hair in the movies. I think I did also mention that Mr. Weasley and Lucius Malfoy do get into a physical fight, and that was definitely different from the movies, so that was pretty fun to read. And then one thing that, it's not necessarily different from the movies, but I just like kind of forgot how much I do not like Professor Lockhart. My god, is he annoying, and I feel like he's even more annoying in the books just because we see a tad bit more from him. I am just past the part where he has done this little like troll Valentine thing. So that's pretty interesting, especially when I think that the Valentine that Harry gets is from Ginny, and that's kind of like the first blossom of like how she like really feels. Like previously she's only been a little bit embarrassed being around him, which could just be a crush, but to send him a Valentine, that's a pretty big statement. So I'm pretty sure that it is from her, and that is something that we're missing from the movie. So it was really cute to see. And again, I want to know what these trolls look like. I'm so upset that we did not see them in the movies. So right now, I did just finish recording my January wrap-up and my February TBR. So I do need to put those on my computer. I need to edit the first video, and then I want to annotate some of this. There's definitely not going to be as many tabs as book 1, but there are a few things that I would like to go ahead and annotate. So I'm going to do that and then hopefully finish this book up. Hey guys, so I have gotten done with what I'm going to annotate right now because that is a lot of annotating to do. I definitely cannot wait this long or read this much before going back and annotating because it is a lot to basically reread or skim through that much to see what needs to be annotated. So I did annotate that much, which is a pretty good amount. Definitely less than the first book, but yes. And I have noticed some more differences from the movie. For one, I have been tabbing anything that is sort of plot related or seems like it's some kind of foreshadowing to the main plot, which is Tom Riddle's journal. So right now I have quite a few tabs of Percy acting very weird. And in the movie it was Ginny, which there is a scene where Mr. Weasley and Lucius get into the fist fight at the bookstore. And in that scene, he is like randomly holding Ginny's Encyclopedia of Toadstools and gives it back to her. So in the movie, that's when he slips the journal to Ginny and then she has it. But I feel like Percy might have it because in the very beginning, they're talking about how he's been acting weird all summer. He's been up in his room, sending a lot of letters. And then again, when they go to Diagon Alley, he goes to the shop and says something very vague about how he needs a new quill, which could be how he's talking to Tom Riddle. But I know that I did read a part where he's acting very strange when he catches them coming out of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, which is the bathroom where the Chamber of Secrets entrance is found. So I'm kind of wondering if now it's going to end up that Percy is the one that had Tom Riddle's diary and not Ginny. So that'll be very interesting to see how it plays out in the book. Another difference is when Ron gets the howler from Mrs. Weasley. And I did like it better in the movie, how it interacts with them and then self-destructs. In the book, it's a lot more downplayed. Like, it's just the envelope is yelling and then it bursts into flames. I thought it was a lot more fun in the movie than in the book. So I did like that better so far in the movie. And then some other things that I noticed were not in the movie was the Death Day party for Nearly Headless Nick. It definitely would have been interesting to see that play out in the movie, but it is just like a little small tidbit in the book that really doesn't seem like it will be, but doesn't seem like it adds too much to the story, so I understand why they cut it, but it would have been cool to see all the ghosts gathered together at this party. And the last thing is that Filch is not magical. He is a squib, which I don't think we ever learned in the movie. So that's very interesting. And I did mark it as a possible plot point of maybe he has something to do with this, but I don't think so, just because I think for the most part the plot is going to be the same. Miss Norris did just get petrified, so that was pretty sad. Even though I know she's okay, it's still like, oh, I don't like things happening to animals. So I am finishing up my annotating, and I'm at the part where Professor Binns tells us about the Chamber of Secrets, which in the movie Professor McGonagall tells us about. So we did get cut Professor Binns. But I feel like this isn't the first time that I've heard of Professor Binns. Was he in The Sorcerer's Stone? I feel like maybe. Let me know. Because I feel like I've heard of him before. Or maybe that was mentioned in the books, or mentioned in the movies, but then, like, he wasn't, like, a full-fledged character? I don't know. Let me know, because now I can't remember, and it's kind of troubling me. Okay, I'm finally done annotating for now. So now I need to finally edit my video that I recorded earlier that needs to go up tomorrow, and then we will finally start reading more of Harry Potter. Hopefully I can finish it tonight. So I will see you guys in just a bit. Okay, so I have read a little bit more, but I'm not done completely. I have about 76 pages left, I believe. So my plan is that tomorrow morning I'm going to get up early before work and finish this. So right now, since I have tabbed all the way up to where I'm at, I do want to quickly just kind of go over how I'm feeling and what I've noticed from these tabs, which is why I wanted to annotate in the first place, is to give me a little bit more insight on how I'm interpreting a book. The first thing that I have noticed after looking back at my tabs is that I do have quite a lot of funny moments, and compared to The Sorcerer's Stone, there's definitely a lot more, and they are dealing with some like pretty big deep topics, so comic relief is definitely needed. One thing that I feel like I didn't really grasp with the movies, but reading it out and seeing how much it's brought up, is this whole growing up in a magical family versus being a half-blood or growing up with no family members like Hermione. It's like magical racism, and like I've always known that that is like what it was in the movies, but just seeing how much it's brought up in the books, of like how many times Malfoy talks about it, how much he says to Hermione or says about Hermione, or what him and his father say, and then this whole Chamber of Secrets thing happening to try and get rid of them. Like, it's just such a like alarming thing, because I feel like when I watched the movies multiple times, like I identified what was happening, but it wasn't just like so in my face like it is in the books, and I don't know why I'm seeing it as such a... I feel like this is the first time that I'm realizing this, when I know it's not, but it's just so crazy to like read this. And you know, this book came out in what, like 99, and to have this be such a big plot point in a children's book is just different, but also needed, because this is like a veiled way to show that that's not okay. And I just so appreciate that being in a children's book, because we need to teach our kids this. Pretty much all of the angry tabs I have is something to deal with quote-unquote mudbloods. It's just very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Something else is, in the movies, I don't really like Ginny. I know a lot of people like Ginny. I've never been a fan of her, and I'm still not a fan of her just yet. I think I will be more of a fan of her as the books go on and she gets older. But one little tidbit that made me start to like her is when Mrs. Norris gets petrified, that Ron tells Harry that she is a great cat lover, and that is why Ginny is so upset about Mrs. Norris, even though this is like her first encounter with Mrs. Norris. So I just found that like so heartwarming. Like, okay, maybe Ginny's not that bad. I mentioned this before earlier, but I just cannot stand Lockhart, and it's just so like overwhelming in the book, because he plays such a bigger presence and he comes up more and more. Like, I feel like every time we like turn a corner, like there's Lockhart with something stupid to say, and it's just driving me crazy. And one thing that I just like, I really didn't like his whole little like, I'm so amazing, and trying to make Harry feel like he's trying to be somebody that he's not. Like, I can get over that. But then the scene when Harry is playing Quidditch and the Bulger breaks his arm, and so then Lockhart comes up and is like, oh, I'm gonna fix it. And Harry says no like 5 times, and he still does it anyways. Like, that just really bothered me, because like I've said over and over again to get away from me. I don't want you to fix it. I want to go see the nurse. And then, like, nobody interferes. Harry does not want this. This is an unwanted touch. And it just really, really bothered me, especially when he messes it up and he makes it worse for Harry. So I just really, really do not like him. And then I think I do have just 2 little last tidbits that I'll mention before I go off to bed. So the first thing is that we have gotten to the part where Hagrid has been taken by the Ministry and Albus has been asked to step down. But something that's funny is that Harry has just witnessed Riddle's memory of what happened 50 years ago when the Chamber of Secrets was opened for the first time. And I find it just, like, so funny. And, like, this entire time I'm just like, God, I wish I would have read these books when they came out and before I watched the movies, and that this would be my first time experiencing it, because Harry is, like, really, really identifying and sympathizing with Riddle. And, like, we know as future Harry Potter fans that that's Voldemort. And for him to be like, even if Hagrid didn't open up the Chamber of Secrets, I understand why he would blame Hagrid. And it's because he doesn't want to go back to that orphanage. And I totally get that, because I would do anything not to go back to the Dursleys. And I think it just really gives Voldemort this, like, whole other side. And I'm very interested to see how deep we get into Voldemort's character in these books. Because that was something in the movies when Dumbledore tells Harry about how he met Tom Riddle in the orphanage and everything. In the movies, I was like, please tell me more. Like, that scene where they're at the orphanage and he meets Tom Riddle for the first time. Like, I just wanted to know so much more about him. And I could, like Harry, understand why he would turn to the dark side. And I understand why he's doing these things, because he's had this awful, troubled life. And we only get a glimpse of it in the movie. So I really, really hope in the books that it dives a little bit deeper and that we can find out more, because I'm so interested in knowing, like, everything there is to know about Voldemort. I'm very into villains and, like, why they do their villainy things. So I really hope that we get to know more. The other thing is I'm still currently on the track of thinking that Percy is the one that has the diary of Tom Riddle to begin with, and that he is the one that sets off everything and not Ginny like it is in the movies. But I knew in Sorcerer's Stone that it was Professor Quirrell. The book really does make you believe that it's Snape. And I'm kind of wondering at this point, is that what's happening here? Like, is it really Ginny? Because there is, like, another slight mention of when the troll comes to give Harry his singing Valentine. Malfoy takes the journal and Ginny looks very upset or like distraught and worried. And it could be that she just doesn't want Malfoy to pick on Harry, or it could be that she knows what it is, just like in the movies. Like in the movies, it's her. She's the one that had it. But this just sets up so many clues to blame it on Percy. And I'm just wondering if that's like the whole theme that Rowling has, where she just like leads you on this path to think one thing and then pulls the rug from underneath your feet at the very last second. And I'm kind of thinking that might be what happens, because like that's a pretty big change to make in the movies. So we will see what happens there. But I kind of think that's what's going to end up happening. I think this is all trickery. And then the very last thing that I want to mention, that is when Harry first finds Tom Riddle's diary, and it says, Harry, however, pocketed it. And I marked it as funny because I don't know if you guys know, the UK audiobook editions of this are narrated by Stephen Fry. And this rumor came out that he had a very hard time saying Harry pocketed it in this book, and that he kind of like badmouthed J.K. Rowling in the series and saying like this was trash and he doesn't understand why people are so obsessed with them. And so as like her little way of revenge, J.K. Rowling put that phrase as many times as she could in the rest of the books, so that every time he had to narrate, he would have to say that over and over again. And it turns out that that is a rumor and not supposedly what really happened. But I wanted to kind of make a point of looking for the Harry pocketed it quote in the books to see how many times it does pop up. And in the Sorcerer's Stone, I didn't see it. And I thought maybe I just missed it and forgot to look for it. But for this one, I was listening to the audiobook, and it was yesterday when I was playing Yonder and reading. You know, I'm kind of like in and out of focus because I do know the whole premise, so I'm not paying too much attention to it. I can kind of drift and still know where I am. That's why I like wanted to go back and read a couple scenes that do not happen in the movie, because then I'm like, okay, wait, what? But he said it, which I'm not listening to the Stephen Fry version, I'm listening to the US version by Jim Dale, which are perfection. I haven't tried Stephen Fry, but I'm really, really loving the Jim Dale ones. And he said it, and like out of nowhere just like clicked in my head, and I'm like, oh, did he just say he pocketed it? And like I grabbed my copy of the book and like looked, and I was like, oh my god. So I'm pretty sure that that is the first instance that it happens, because I feel like it would have just randomly sprung into my head just like it did then. So I think that's everything that I want to say about it tonight. Again, I only have like 76 pages left, and I was going to finish tonight, but it is almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I do need to go to bed, and I do kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit more as I'm finishing it. So I will see you guys in a couple hours, honestly. I will see you in a bit. Hey guys, so it is now Monday night. I did not get up early enough to read this morning, so I'm still at the same spot that I was last night, but I am ready to finally read these last 70-some pages. I can't wait. I need to know what happens. I know what happens, but I just need to know what else is left in this book, what other differences there are. I'm just really enjoying reading these, and I cannot wait to continue on, because I know that just more and more stuff comes out during the books that were not included in the movies, so I am pretty excited about that. I am going to annotate while reading this time, I think, but we'll kind of see how it goes while I'm reading. If I'm just really into it, then I'll just wait until I get done with that chapter or something to annotate. So yes, let's go ahead and finish this up. I have my little area. I've got my drink, and yeah, so I'm just gonna get cozy and read. Okay, so I'm now at the part where Ginny has just been taken to the Chamber of Secrets, and Lockhart has tried to run away, and now Ron and Harry are taking him to the Chamber of Secrets. And yes, one thing I did want to say though was I'm still kind of convinced that Percy has something to do with this. It has not been revealed how this all came about just yet, but I also wanted to mention that Ron and Harry, when they go to meet Aragog, I could have sworn that in the movies Hermione is with them, but maybe not. And then one thing that they did change in the movies during this scene is what Ron says, which in the movies he says something like, spiders, why does it always have to be spiders? Why couldn't it be follow the fluffy rabbits or something, I think is what he says. And he does not say that in the book at all. So that was kind of a disappointment, because I really like that line from the movie. Oh my god, you guys. Oh my gosh. I am finished, and I just have all the feels. These books are so good. They're so magical and heartwarming, and oh my goodness. Where to even begin? So again, I was tricked by Rowling. Percy had nothing to do with it. He was writing to a girl and being sneaky because he didn't want his brothers to find out and make fun of him for having a crush on somebody. Of course it was Ginny the whole time, just like in the movies. But I do like that Rowling is doing this. I like being led in a different direction, and she does it so well, where she does kind of hint at Ginny, but at the same time, like, she just is totally pushing you in a completely different direction so that you have no idea who it really is, and I really do enjoy that. I will say that the scene where Riddle is explaining to Harry how he tricked Ginny, it was really heartbreaking because I could totally sympathize with her and understand why she would turn to this diary and why she would hold on to it and kind of like do its bidding. You know, she never really knew what she was doing, but she needed somebody and she had no one. I haven't seen Ginny around any friends. You know, she's got this big family, but she isn't paid too much attention, and when she does have attention paid to her, it's not the best. It's her brother's making fun of her or something, and she has this crush on Harry and he's not reciprocating, and it's just so sad. And I totally understand how she could like basically fall in love with Tom Riddle and be like, you understand me, you listen to me, you get me. And it was just so heartbreaking to see her fall into this unhealthy relationship with somebody, and I completely understood where Ginny was coming from. I do have to say that I was so happy when Gilderoy Lockhart finally lost his memory. Oh my god, that guy's so annoying. Gah, it was about time. And then lastly, I was waiting and waiting because I love this scene in the movie when Dobby is free, and it is done differently in the book. I do have to say, I really enjoyed the scene of Lucius in Dumbledore's office, of when Harry and Dumbledore are confronting him about how he is the one that gave the book to Ginny. And that's not exactly how it goes down in the movie, and I enjoyed the book version of it much more because it brings up these certain instances on why Lucius would do this, and like kind of like, we're all watching you, we know it was you. And I'm pretty sure in the movie Harry confronts him alone, not in front of Dumbledore. So I did like how it was done in the book. But when it comes to Dobby and how he is freed, I didn't like how it was done in the book version. I don't like that Harry put the book inside of the sock and then Lucius threw the sock at Dobby and he caught it, because to me, technically, that is not Lucius giving Dobby a piece of clothing. I like the movie version a lot more, where it's inside of the book and Lucius makes Dobby carry it, which Dobby then opens and sees that he gave him a sock, because that really is him giving him something. So I do like the movie version of that better, but I absolutely love when Dobby knocks Lucius down and tells him that he cannot harm Harry Potter. I loved that. I loved it so very much, and I just, at the very ending, I just have all these warm, happy feelings, and everything is just so great. I'm so happy that I'm finally reading these books. They are so, so good, and I cannot wait to continue on. The next one, Prisoner of Azkaban, like I said in my February TBR, is a pretty manageable book. I believe it's like 400 and some pages. It's under 500. That is a little bit on the longer side to me, but it's not anything longer than what I have read before. But after that, all of the books are 600 plus, and it's very intimidating, but I know I can do it, and I have the drive to finally finish this series because it is so good, you guys. I love all this like magicalness and just like reliving the movies, but in like a much, much better way, and I'm just so enjoying this. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this reading vlog. Like I said, I'm having such a good time reading these, and I will put down below in the description the link to my last one for Sorcerer's Stone. It isn't as detailed and involved as this one is because I didn't get this idea to do this series until after that one was filmed. So it's only going to get better from here, and I will also put the list below of when I am reading these books. Hopefully, like I said, they do get longer and longer as it goes on, so I'm not sure if I can read one a month. I think I can. I'll just have to make my monthly TBR a little bit shorter than what it is, but we will see. I'm not strictly holding myself to this just because no one else is like holding me accountable, and these are just for pleasure. I don't want to put pressure on these books so that I end up not enjoying them. But either way, these are definitely getting done in 2019, and I will be at least starting one every month as it goes on. I am not going to take any breaks in between them because I really, really want to finally read this series. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!